I'm not sure what it says. On my computer it says 7:01, but on my phone it says 6:59. So I thought, well, I'll just kind of cut the difference and we'll kind of get started here. If you have been able to check in, would you just go ahead and enter into the chat bar? Let me know you're here. Let me know what city you're from. Hopefully it's all working well. Let me know if you can hear me, or actually let me know if you can't hear me. Let me know if you can't see me. You're only going to see me for a little bit, and then we're going to get right into the slides. But I wanted to welcome you and take a few minutes to kind of let you get oriented. Hopefully you have a comfortable place to sit. Hopefully you have the Calm the Chaos presenter notes or participant notes that you printed off before, and a pen. And if not, some note paper will just be fine. Maybe you have something nice to drink. I don't know. But it's good to see you, Shelly. Thank you so much. It's good to see you too, Wendy. Thank you so much for checking in. I'm glad that y'all are here. It's really, really much more fun to do this when there are people interacting. So please feel free to use the chat box as much as you want. And I will let you know, my dog is in the room with me. So he may start barking at some point, and I may have to open the door. But we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to give it about another 30 seconds, and then we will get started. If you have any problems, if you have anything that you need, just let me know in that chat box. And I will be asking some questions or giving you a chance to ask questions later. But if there's something that comes up on a slide and you're like, I need to understand that a little bit more, just type it in. And if I can't stop and get to it right then, I will get to it at the end of the presentation for sure. So with that, I am going to turn off my video monitor. You should still be able to hear me, and we're going to get started with the slides. All right. Well, welcome to Calm the Chaos. This is my free webinar designed to teach you that you can get control of your family's crazy schedule. And what I've heard from women over and over since I've been doing this webinar is it's not just your family schedule that's causing you some problems, it's your own personal schedule too. So we're going to add into that a little bit as well, that you can get control of any schedule. And this is what we're going to be doing here today. In the next 30 minutes, this is what we're going to cover. We're going to cover a little bit about my story of chaos, because you and I, we may not know each other. Hi, Sheila. I see you checked in. And I want you to understand that I'm not coming in as some woman who has it all figured out, as some woman who's never experienced chaos or stress, that I really have. And so I'm going to share my story with you. Then I'm going to share with you what caused my transformation, so that you understand that I was crazy at one point, and still maybe am, according to my children, but that I do understand the need for peace and how to receive that peace on a daily basis and what happened for me. Then I'm going to share with you my top 3 steps to calm your chaos today. And I promise you they will be practical things that you can start doing the minute we get off this webinar. And then I'm going to share with you an opportunity for you to be able to learn to calm the chaos for life. So with that, let's get started. So this is me today. If I haven't met you, this is me. And this is one of my headshots. It's professionally done. So I don't always look this great. In fact, right now, as you saw, I'm just looking normal. But this is my husband, Scott. We've been married 20 years, 21 years this August, and our marriage has produced 2 amazing kids. This is my daughter, Taylor. She just graduated from Francis Howell High School and is heading off to be a freshman at Mizzou this fall. We also produced a son. This is my son, Christopher, and he is 14 and just finished his 8th grade year at Bryan and will be a freshman at Francis Howell High School. So I've got 2 freshmen in 2 different stages of their life, and so there's definitely a bit of parenting chaos going on for me. I have 2 crazy dogs right here, and you may hear one as we're talking. These are our rescue dogs, and we love them dearly, but they keep me on my toes. And this is my office. This is actually where I'm talking to you from right now. I work from home. I am an authorpreneur. I am an entrepreneur. And so this is my office, and there's always something going on in my home, especially with my kids off for the summer. So when you're talking about having chaos in your life, I do get it on a regular basis. But I wasn't always like this. My life was full of chaos to the nth degree. And I don't know if you recognize that phrase, but that means beyond measure. In fact, there was 3 different kinds of chaos that were ruling my life. If you're following along on the handouts, this is number 1, and I talk about the 3 different kinds of chaos that can steal our peace. The first was emotional chaos. Now, emotional chaos is based on the emotions and feelings and thoughts that we have going on inside of our brains and inside of our hearts. I lived with lies continual about how I was supposed to behave, what I was supposed to do, what I was supposed to look like, what my family was supposed to look like, all kinds of emotional chaos, even down to the career I had and how I was supposed to be a teacher. It was crazy. And all of that emotional chaos caused me in my brain to believe those lies and live a life of striving to be better always and all the time. Well, as you probably know, if you're under any kind of emotional chaos or any kind of stress whatsoever, it does something in your body. And that's the second kind of chaos we experience and that I experience as well. And that's physical chaos. It's the physical manifestation of all of the emotional chaos that we're experiencing. And so I lived for several months, years actually, with lightheadedness and fatigue and up and down weight gain and weight loss and all kinds of things. My hair began to fall out. My skin was dry. My nails were brittle. But there were other interior things going on as well. My heart started palpitating out of rhythm. I started having panic attacks and anxiety attacks, bouts of depression, and I went in to visit a doctor, and he put me on a heart monitor because my heart was beating so erratically they weren't sure if I was going to have a heart attack or not. I saw another doctor who tested my hormones, and because I had been under so much stress, my hormones had been jacked up all over the place. My adrenal gland was shot, my cortisol levels were through the roof, and I was actually pushing my body into menopause way too early. At this point in my life, I was 33. Well, all of that chaos led to the third kind of chaos that steals our peace, and that is relational chaos. Relational chaos is when the relationships in your life are dying, dead, or non-existent, and I had all of those. My marriage was falling apart because I couldn't be present. I was constantly trying to be better, constantly trying to make my world around me better, and it was causing havoc in my marriage. My children probably didn't even know what kind of mama was going to come at them each day, and I would show up some days happy mommy, sometimes angry mommy, sometimes depressed mommy, and they really didn't have a clue, and so I didn't connect well with my kids, and to be honest, I was kind of resentful of being a mom. They got in my way a lot, and I know that's harsh to say, but that's where I was at this particular point. I also was isolated. I did not have a lot of girlfriends. I did not have people I could open up to and trust, and so I was cut off. All of this chaos stole my peace and created for me an existence that was anything but the kind of life that I really, really wanted. There were several things at that point that needed to change. Now, I want you to know that you probably experienced some chaos in your life, and you probably go, yeah, I know stuff needs to change. I just don't know what. I get it, because I didn't know what either. But after walking through some counseling and some work with some friends, I realized there were three things that needed to change in my life. The first was that fear and worry were running my life. Fear and worry are some of our chief peace stealers, and they were running my life. I lived afraid constantly of not meeting expectations, of falling apart, of causing everything to fall apart, of messing up, of disappointing others. I probably speak in your language. At least I hope that I am, kind of. I don't really want you to feel this, but I get it, and I think the majority of women do have this. I worried all the time, was I being a good enough mom? Was I being a good enough wife? Was I being a good enough homekeeper? Was I being good enough in everything? And it stole my peace. I pushed then myself to fit this ideal. And we do this a lot. We push ourselves to fit an ideal, some standard that we think we're supposed to meet. And if you're a perfectionist like I have been, I pushed myself beyond what I thought the standard was supposed to be because I thought I had to be better than the standard. If you're in this webinar, chances are you're experiencing some chaos because there is a standard in your life you're trying to meet and you just can't get there. Right? This is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. The last thing that needed to change was my to-do list was always first. If I put it on the list, that was what I needed to get done in my day. And if I didn't get it done, it was a cruddy day. If I did get it done, woohoo, it was the greatest day ever. But to live and die by your to-do list is no way to live, and it certainly is no way to treat the people around you. My poor kids, I would drag them everywhere just to get that list done. And if you understand what I'm talking about, you can go ahead and let me know in that chat box, because I see that you're here, and I want to make sure that I'm speaking truth to you. But at the same time, this is who I was. This was how I ran my life. This is what caused the breakdown that I experienced. And it was only because of recognizing this that I was able to learn to receive peace. I needed to understand why my life was in so much chaos in order to understand how to make the changes that need to be made. And the first change I made was 3 choices that I had to choose to make for myself. The first choice was I had to decide who was I going to trust. Who was I going to trust? And I needed to choose. For me, I chose to trust God. I chose to trust what he was saying about me, what he was saying about the life he wanted me to live, over what I had been trusting before, which was in myself. Y'all, I don't know anything, and I made a mess of my life. Well, choosing to trust God relieved me from that responsibility and gave me hope that he would have something better for me than I could have figured out. Along those lines, I had to make a choice of who I was going to follow. And I'm sure that you and I are the same in that we look around and we go, oh, I see that marriage over there. I want my marriage to look like that. Or I see that way that that mom operates with her kids, and I want to make my parenting look like that. Or I'm reading this article that says things should be like this about taking care of my home or whatever. Or I watch that show, and we get these ideas in our heads about what we're supposed to follow. I've lived like that, and it walked me into chaos because nothing was ever going to be good enough. And so for me, I made the personal choice to follow Jesus. I accepted him as my personal savior, and that has made all of the difference in the world for me. And I want you to recognize that if you are not a follower of Jesus, this is not for you. Don't shut your computer. Don't walk away. I want to talk to you because I'm not here to thump a Bible over your head and tell you it's the only way, you're going to hell or whatever. That's not the kind of Christian that I am. I want to talk to you about the relationship that I have with Jesus, and in that relationship, what has changed for me. And if that sounds like something that you'd like to hear more about, I would love to talk to you about it. But please hang in there. Please hear what's going on, because it takes a while for these choices to sink in, and I get it. The last thing I needed to do was I needed to choose who I was going to listen to. Y'all, those voices in my head kept going all the time. The fears, the worries, the lies, and I kept listening to them, and it kept causing me to freak out. I needed to make a different choice of who I was going to listen to. And for me, I chose to listen to the Holy Spirit, who guided me into what God's truth is, who taught me what it meant to follow Jesus. And all of that has coalesced into understanding what it means to receive peace, even when my life around me may still be chaotic. And I know that sounds funny to say, well, I'm experiencing peace even though my finances might be a wreck, or I'm experiencing peace even though my marriage might still be struggling, but I do. I do. The second thing I need to do, besides make some different choices, what I need to take some action. And for those of you who are out there and you're doers, which I think you all are, it's having something to do gives us a sense that we're in control, that we can actually affect the change we're looking. So this is it right here, really. It's the actions that I took where I needed to identify what the priorities were in my life. What were my priorities? What was it that was important in my life? Then I needed to take those priorities and place them in God's order, and that I needed to allow God to order those priorities so that I was not living under my own understanding anymore, but underneath his. And he gets my kids better than I do. He gets my husband way better than I do. And he gets, my finances, everything else way better than I do. And so when I allowed him to dictate where I spent my time in those priorities, things began to change. And then I began to plan my week according to that order. And the season that I was in, when I trusted the way God was leading me to order my days, things changed. And I'll tell you right now, I am no longer living with a fear of a heart attack. I am no longer living with an adrenal gland that is shot. It has been repaired and restored. My hormone levels are fine. I am not living with the effects of any of that chaos any longer. And it has nothing to do with anything other than who I chose to trust, who I chose to follow, and who I chose to listen to, and then to follow through with those choices. But this enough of me, right? I know you didn't come just to hear about my life story, because my life story is all well and good for me, but what about you? I know you're here because you want to learn to calm your chaos. That was there because I wanted you to know who I was, so that I wasn't speaking to you as some holier than thou, this is the way it's supposed to be. I've been in the trenches, and I'm still there right with you. So I want to hear from you before we move on. What is most chaotic about your life? And a couple women in previous sessions have just said all of it. So if you feel like all of it is in chaos for you, please just let me know that. That's totally fine. There's no problem with that. If you think it's just something specific, like it's for you, it's making time for yourself. Maybe you haven't been able to make the time for yourself the way you want to, then put that in. If it's not being able to take care of your home, or not being able to take care of your kids, or whatever it is that's causing you chaos, I would love to hear your answers. So if you'll put that in the chat box, then I can direct what we're going to talk about to kind of address that as we go. All right. So moving on. Here's something you need to know. Okay, Wendy has not enough hours in a day. Yes, I totally get it. Gina, all, but mainly work and home. Yeah, work can definitely take over, especially when somebody else is in charge of creating our schedule at work and how many hours we're supposed to work, right? And I think maybe, Wendy, that's the same thing for you, that there's, you've got all this work and then all the things with the kids and all the things with the husband, right? You just said that too, Wendy, and me time and husband time. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, how on earth are we going to ever get everything done in a day, right? Because if I have kids and I have a husband and I have home and I have work, how on earth does it all get done? And I still get my needs taken care of too, right? I get it. I get it. And Sheila, your husband and your home. Yeah, it's hard, especially their schedules kind of get in the way sometimes. Like, I'm around, but my husband isn't, and I understand. All right, so there is hope for you, ladies. Hang in there. We are going to tackle these issues, and I'm going to give you some hope for that today. But here's the thing I want you to know. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. It's what we do with it that makes the difference. It's what we do with it that makes all the difference. And I know this is probably not new for any of you, because sometimes it feels like 24 hours just isn't enough. But 24 hours is all we get, and it can be enough, because it is truly what we do with it that makes the difference. This is a question I always ask the women that I work with, is how are your scheduling decisions contributing to your chaos? And this always puts everybody on the red alert, like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Not about what you're doing wrong. Oftentimes we operate from a premise that we need to say yes when we don't want to, or we're supposed to say no when we don't want to, because we don't know how it's all going to get done. We don't know how we're going to fit it in, and I get that. So are you ready to learn how to tame the chaos that is the madness of your and your family's schedule? Because we're digging in. Hopefully you're ready. All right, first things first. Calming the chaos in any area of your life is going to require change. I know this is not a new concept for you, but changing is hard. If you've been doing things the same way for 6 months, 5 months, a year, or whatever, changing is not going to be easy. And sometimes, if you're like me, I wanted to change, I just didn't know how. And so I get it, but it's like I needed somebody to show me what to do. I read this quote today from John Maxwell. It says, "You'll never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret to your success is found in your daily routine." And that was John Maxwell. And that is the key, ladies. The choices we make about the scheduling we do need to be examined, and the changes need to be made based on whatever it is that God's leading us into do. And I'm going to share with you my 3 top ways how to do this. Oh, Gina, yeah, not more change. I get it. But remember, oftentimes the change that comes at us affects us, and we don't know what to do with it. I am talking about change that that is something that is not of you, not by you, but is for you. That's the kind of change I'm talking about. So, because if we don't change, we run the risk of being insane. And I know you probably said this, oh my gosh, I'm running around, I feel like I'm completely insane. You are. Because if we do the same thing over and over again and expect different results, that is the definition of insanity according to Albert Einstein. We need to make some changes, and I want to help you do them. And remember, this is not a once and we're done kind of thing. This is just the beginnings of the steps that we can use to make the changes we need to do. So, step 1, and if you're following along, we are at number 9. Step 1 is identify your priorities. This should be fairly easy. You probably can do this while I'm talking. What are the priorities of your life? Really, what are the main priorities of your life? And so I've listed mine here, and I've listed some questions for you to be asking yourself as well. But this is the order that God has them for us. Right? So take a look at your priorities, think about how you spend your time, and if you spend way more time at work than anywhere else, then that priority is out of God's order. And this is not meant to cause you guilt, shame, or anything else. This is how I lived. I totally get it. But what we're talking about is allowing God to dictate something different for us. So start here with just identifying your priorities. And the first thing is, are you relying on Jesus? And again, for those of us who are Christ followers, this is essential. We have said that Jesus is our Savior, therefore we need to rely on Him for all that we're doing. If you are not a Christ follower, that is okay. But the thing is, I'm going to ask you, if relying on yourself is working, what are you doing here? right? And I don't mean to pressure. And again, I am not trying to thump you over the head with the Bible, but this is the way that I found peace. And I want to share with you just my experience, and I'm hoping that it will spark an idea in you to maybe seek him out and see what he's got in store for you. The second priority is to take care of our own needs. And I know you're probably going, oh my gosh, there's no way, I have no time to do this. I hear you. I do. But let me ask you this. What happens if you end up in the hospital because you're stressed out so badly you can't function? What really falls apart then? What happens when you are just emotionally drained? These are the things that we try so hard to prevent by taking care of everybody else, and in the meantime, we're getting drained to the point of nothing. I'm not trying to say to you today that you have to cut something else in order to put something else in. That is not up to me. That is between you and God. But you've got to put yourself on your priority list. You have to, ladies. You are valid and important and essential to God's plan for this world. And if you're not taken care of, how are you going to be able to pour out to take care of the rest of the priorities you have in your life? The third one is, are you married? Our husbands become a priority for us. They have to be if we want to keep our marriages once our children leave. And they're going to leave. We are raising our children to leave. And I know, Gina, that you understand this, and Sheila, that you do too. Wendy, I know you're looking at your children getting ready to, one of your children getting ready to leave, and you've already lost one. But there are times when we have to pay attention to our marriages, because that is supposed to be the lifelong relationship that we have. And so if our husbands come last on the list, chances are our marriage is going to have some chaos in it. The next priority is, do we have children? And if we do have children, they need to be on our priority list too, above our work, above our home. And sometimes it's really hard for us, especially if we have these little kids and they're running around and they're tearing things apart, and we feel like we've got to clean up, and they take all of our time and all of our energy, and there's nothing left. I get it, right? We're just identifying our priorities at this particular point. The next one is, do you take care of your home? And this means, are you responsible for cleaning your home? Do you do all your errands, or do you hire out? I don't know. But if you are, this is a priority for you. And then what additional work do you do? Are you a career woman? Do you work part-time? Are you an entrepreneur on your own? Are you volunteer? All of those things. Oh, no, Sheila, no guilt. No guilt. We are not listening to guilt, right? This is here to just to give you a template in order to allow God to pour into you and guide you where he wants you to go, all right? So if you've heard guilt, I want you to tell it go away right now. All right, but these are the priorities. If you have them, this is the priority order. If you are missing one, it's not like you're not complete. It's just not part of your season right now, and that is okay, because it leads us to the next step, which is step 2. And that is the biggest, most important step we have, is to ask God for his plan for balance within your priorities, not somebody else's, but your own, right? We have been working so hard to try and make balance fit for everything else in our lives. We feel if we can get the right schedule, get the right program, get the right whatever, that we'll be all good and it'll all be okay. But here's the thing. God doesn't want you to figure it out by yourself. He doesn't want you to do this all by yourself. He wants to do it for you so that you can rest in him and enjoy each and every experience he brings your way. Each and every day that comes your way, and when the tragedies come, and they will, y'all, this is not about living pie in the sky, happy every day kind of thing. When the tragedies come and the difficulties come, you will be able to lean in and trust him as he leads you through those. This is what we're talking about by asking God for his plan for balance. Because you know what? God's order is different from our own. It is not the same as ours. It is definitely not the same as the world. And so when we ask him to lead us, and we choose to follow where he leads us, things begin to change. We have been living under the idea that balance is equal time for all things. But what I'm telling you is that balance is not equal time for all things. Balance is based on the energy and quality of you in each area or activity. It's based on the energy and quality of you in each area or activity of your life. That means that, are you present in the moment for whatever it is you're doing, trusting that whatever's coming next, God's going to prepare you for? This is what it means to allow God to balance your priorities for you. And I think there are a couple of examples on your handout here. For example, do you give your all at work and then there's nothing left for you? This is not living in God's order for you, because you may have to give a lot at work, but there's a limit to where you should be. And that's when you find that out when you stop and ask God what he wants you to do. Or second, do you give your all to your kids and there's nothing left for your husband? Those are the things there, right there, that God's going to let you know, hey, listen, I have a better way for you. I have a better way for you. And again, I'm trying to remind you, this is not about you fixing. This is about you inviting God in to fix for you. And I'm hoping that's giving you a big sigh of relief. And that leads us to step 3, and that is to make a plan to calm the chaos. This is a weekly and daily choice, to focus on what you will choose to say yes to and what you choose to say no to without guilt, Sheila, and anybody else in there who doesn't want to say it because I called her out, but without guilt and without shame and without condemnation and without fear. Right? Jesus says that his perfect love casts out fear, so we can choose to say yes and choose to say no without fear of disappointing somebody. Right? But it's not about us to figure it out all by ourselves. It's about us to ask God for his wisdom and his courage. Because how are we really going to know what to say yes to and what to say no to? We're going to default to our fears, right? So we ask God for his wisdom, and then we ask him for the courage to do it. Because there are people who are not going to be happy with our choices, right? They're not going to be happy with them. But our job is not to make people happy. Our job is to follow God and allow him to fill us so that we can do what he's called us to do. You need to also let go of your agenda or to allow God to lead you. Let go of your agenda and allow God to lead you. This is the break you've been looking for, ladies. It's not about you having to figure it out. It's truly about you just spending a moment with God in the morning. Say, God, put on my day what it is you have in mind, because I know whatever you have is better than what I can come up with. And remove from my day whatever doesn't need to be there. And give me the strength, Father, to follow you in all of it. And when we do, life begins to change for us. The chaos begins to die down inside of us, which means we can handle the chaos around us. And then for you, I will tell you, it's up to you now to choose who you're going to trust, who you're going to follow, and who you're going to listen to. I'm praying that you will trust God. I'm praying that you will choose to follow Jesus and that you will choose to listen to the Holy Spirit instead of making a plan yourself in your own understanding. This is the source of freedom. This is the source of living the full life that Jesus said he came to give us. That's it. It is that simple. I promise you that really is it. You identify your priorities, you ask for wisdom in balancing those priorities, and you allow God to lead you in making a new plan. It's simple. It's straightforward. But I'll tell you something. It is not easy. It is not, because we leak. We leak. I know you're listening to this material, you're taking your notes, you're like, okay, maybe I can do this. But I know what's going to happen. You get off this webinar and the phone rings, or your kids come at you, your husband comes at you, and we forget, or we get too busy and we default to our old ways, or we end up in chaos once again. A new season comes, a new transition, a new something hits us, and we don't know what to do. And so we end up reverting. It happens to everyone. It's happened to me. This is not anything to feel bad about or upset about, because it's part of living in this world. But what if there was a way to make these changes permanent? What if there's a way to really dig in and figure out how to let God lead you, how to understand what this all meant, what it truly meant to listen to the Holy Spirit versus listening to the lies in your head? What if there was a way to make this permanent? And there's 3 ways I think I can help you with that. What if you had a coach to keep you going and on track with the changes that you wanted to make? Someone who was there to cheer you on, to keep you on the straight and narrow. Think about whatever high school sports coach you had, or maybe you have a life coach, or maybe you've had a coach at work, somebody to kind of keep you going where you needed to go. What if you had somebody available to you? Because here's what I know. Making changes, like we talked about that we needed to make, it takes 21 days to make a habit permanent. 21 days to rework our brains. But here's the thing, we lose heart, don't we? And we give up after a couple of days when it gets hard, because we revert. We allow the chaos to come back in again. But what if besides the coach, you had a community of like-minded, supportive, encouraging women to engage with daily? When the chaos hits, you would say, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's here again. And someone else says, me too, sister, let's go on it together. Encouraging community, a group of women who will not let you be alone in the struggles that you go through, that you won't feel like you're the only one struggling, and that you won't necessarily want to give up, because you know that there are other women who are there cheering you on as well. What if you had someone who showed you how to make the time to do what matters most to you, who could take an outsider's view of your schedule and take a look and ask them hard questions and give you ideas and give you permission to make the changes that maybe you think you shouldn't or should make, you don't know how? Someone who would believe in you enough to help you make the changes, and who also would believe that you do have the time and help you see that as well. The Bible tells us two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. When I was in the midst of my most chaotic times, I was all by myself. There was nobody there that I would allow in to help me up. My life began to change, not only when I made the choices of who I was going to trust and follow and listen to and made action plans based on that, but when I invited other women in to lift me up who were safe, who wouldn't fix me, who wouldn't try and tell me what I was supposed to do, but would always remind me where God was leading and give me the strength to continue carrying on. Calm the Chaos, this is not just a webinar, and I will tell you, this is a movement. I want to revolutionize women to be free and to live in the freedom that they have in order to be able to do what it is that they've been called to do. So design this virtual coaching program because I know we're all busy and getting together is hard and we're all in different areas. It's difficult. I get it, but I want you to not feel like you're alone ever. It's also a community of supportive and encouraging women where you can come and be real and open and honest and not feel like you're getting judged and definitely not feel like you're getting fixed, and be a place where you can just be and hear other women just be and have your Me Too moments that give you the hope to keep walking on. And it's also a source of practical and personalized time management strategies. Ladies, I know time is of the essence for you, and it is a precious, precious commodity. So I want to help you figure out where your time is going so we can see where God might be leading you to make the changes that He might be asking you to make. So this is what's included in the Calm the Chaos virtual coaching program. The first is a private link to the digital copy of my book for only 99 cents. Now, I don't offer that anywhere else. It would be private just for people who registered for this program. And we use this book as the template. So if you have a copy of my book, great. If you don't, this will come to you. And if you do, you can share this with somebody else who might want to go through it with you. But we're going to walk through this book together over a series of 8 weeks. And that leads us to the next thing that comes with it. It's 8 weekly coaching emails. And by weekly emails, I mean I send them directly to you every Sunday. They'll have a short little video. They'll have a little devotion about the topic for the week. It'll have a schedule of what we're reading, some questions, whatever. Something that you know somebody else is out there to kind of keep you accountable to keep moving forward. You'll also get free downloads. I have created a whole host of tools that I have used and continue to use to keep me focused on following wherever God is leading, no matter what season I'm entering into. And I'm going to share those tools with you. I'm going to share new tools that I'm going to create just for this class. And then we'll be able to customize that and personalize that based on whatever it is that you're going through. And because we are always focused on following God in this, I will send you 4 different Bible-centered devotions that I have written that are meant to take us deeper in our relationship with Christ, deeper in our relationship with God, and to a deeper understanding of who He is, so that we can trust that the changes He's leading us to make are going to be for our good. I've also created a private Facebook community. This is a moderated place to receive encouragement and support to keep trusting where God is leading you. This is not something that is just going to be a free-for-all. It is a secret group. Nobody else will be able to see it. And this is the place for you to bare your soul and not get shunned or fixed or condemned or anything. It's for us to remember this is who we are, and in all of this mess is where God is working and where is He leading us. Then for the 8 weeks, you have anytime access to me. And ladies, this is unprecedented. I have never done this before, but you have availability to ask me questions or share your chaos with me during the 8 weeks by email or private Facebook Messenger. I will answer, I will respond, I will pray with you, I will share with you my experiences and whatever wisdom I might have, and I will point you right back to God. But you will have private access to me, and if I don't know what to do with it, we will figure that out together. I will direct you to somebody else. It is not about me at this point. It is about wherever God is leading you that I am going to try and point you to. So just imagine in one summer, 8 short weeks between now and when our kiddos go back to school. If you have kiddos at home, you can learn to calm the chaos of not only your family's schedule, but your own personal chaos for life, because these tools, these strategies, and this community will be yours until you choose to leave it. I'm not going to remove you from the Facebook community just because the class is over. You will get to interact with more and more women as this movement takes hold. So it won't break your budget. I'm going to tell you this right now. And on your handout, you're probably looking at number 12. And so there's a couple things I want you to know. That this is, you can do this. I know you can do this. You can try this on your own. You can try it on your own. You can use additional resources. And you can certainly hire a professional, right? You can do all of those things, and that will be very much a help to you. Or you can join my Calm the Chaos online community. You can join it right now, today. It's less money. It will take you less time because you won't have to start and stop and try and figure out where you're going. And it'll create less of an opportunity for you to get stuck again. Notice I say less of an opportunity. We're all going to get stuck. It's part of living in this world. But you'll be able to go, oh, I'm here again. And then the community will rally around you and help you with it, including myself. Imagine how different your life or your marriage or your parenting or your house or your career volunteering could be if you learned how to trust God to calm the chaos of your life for you. So what does it cost? And listen, this is what I am going to be charging later on this year. But because you guys are my first group of women, I'm only charging $45. If you register for this first class, which starts this Sunday, June 26th, and I need to have you registered by the 25th so I can create the email list and all that, and make sure you get all the emails you need. But ladies, this is less than $1 a day. Less than $1 a day to get personalized coaching, to get accountability, to get a community that's going to rally around you, and then you can then rally around others in the community, and we can build something solid from which we can launch, hopefully, a whole movement of women who are living on fire to end the chaos of their lives and live instead in God's peace. A lifestyle change begins with a vision and a single step, and you took a huge step today just by signing up for this webinar, and I thank you so much, because there would have been no reason for me to do this if you hadn't signed up. So thank you, thank you, thank you. But I'm going to ask you, will you take another step? Will you step in a little bit deeper into the water? Will you allow me to work with you, to pray for you, to speak to you, and will you allow the rest of the women in this community to do the same? And will you open up and be real and share with others as well? All right. It is now Q&A time, and we have gone 36 minutes, and so I apologize, but it has been running about 5 minutes longer than I anticipated. But I want to know if you have any questions. I'm going to turn on my camera here in a minute so you can see me when I'm talking to you. But in the meantime, after this webinar, when you hit the end the session button up here, you're going to immediately be directed to a web page that would have all the registration details for you. It's very simple. It's very easy. You'll register in like less than 3 minutes. But in the meantime, if you want to connect with me on Facebook or Instagram or any other social media outlet, here are my handles, my names, whatever they're called. But if you want to email me and privately and ask some questions, go right ahead. I will answer those questions for you. If not tonight, then tomorrow for sure. I want to hear what you've got. So tell me if you have any questions. I'd love to hear them. And thank you so much for interacting with me down on the chat bar there. It's been really neat to see the comments pop up. Wendy, you're booked. Can't wait. Yay! I can't wait either, Wendy. I'm really, really excited you're going to be part of this group. I know we don't get to see each other often, so be able to, quote, kind of see each other every week will be fun. I'm also planning, I think I'm trying to do some Facebook Live events for our secret group where we can interact live if I can find some good times for us to meet. So I'm really excited you're going to be a part of that. Thank you so much. If anybody else has any questions, I would love to hear them. I'm going to sit here for a couple minutes, so feel free to type them in. I have no idea how long it takes for questions to pop up once you type them in, so I'd love to see it. Otherwise, ladies, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for giving me your time tonight. I truly, truly value it, and I pray that this has not been a waste for you, that you are walking away with something valuable that you can implement for your own life. All right, Sheila, oh, what if we miss a Sunday? Okay, so here's the great thing about this. Every email comes directly to you. And so you can open it on a Sunday or a Monday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday or whatever. It's up to you. You will know from the very first email what the reading schedule will be for the entire 8 weeks. You will know what topics we're going to cover every week for the entire 8 weeks. Each week, I will just send you a reminder of that, any new download that come with it, any new video that I feel like putting together for you. And then each and every day in the Facebook group, I'm going to put in a post about a question or a video or some kind of commentary where we can interact. And if you're having a bad day, you just can pop in there and say, hey, listen, I'm having a bad day. Please pray. And I will write in a prayer for you, and I'll talk to you about it. But this is what the greatest part is about this virtual class, is that it's on your timetable. You do not have to deal with it on a Sunday. You can deal with it on a Monday morning or a Monday night or whenever it works best for you, right? So think of it as working through this on your own schedule, but having somebody to make sure you're continuing to do that. All right. Any other questions? All right. I think we're good. I hope so. If you have any other questions, just send me an email. Otherwise, ladies, oh wait, Shelly. Oh, where's my button to sign up? Okay, and you're welcome, Gina. Thank you. When you exit out, when you hit this end the session button over here, Shelly, it should take you immediately to that page. If it does not, please Facebook message me. I know we've been doing that already today, and I will send you the direct link to sign up. Oh, did you find it? Okay, there you go. All right, so I'm going to click the end the session. It should take you right there. You're not going to lose me, Shelly. I promise. I promise. All right, ladies, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. May you have a blessed evening, and hopefully I will see you in the class starting this Sunday. Thank you. Bye-bye.